Welcome, world. Welcome to another installation of Creative Perceptions. I'm your host. My name is Zachary Rogers. And today, I don't have a specific one on one interview for Creative Perceptions. However, we are going to talk about the W. The 2024 WNBA season is going to tip off tomorrow, and we are in for a treat. Today, we're going to talk about all 12 teams, what they did over the offseason, key facts, key notes, key additions, departures, or things that kind of come current when it's around that specific team. We're going to talk about charters. We're going to talk about recent expansion and hopeful possible expansion. So we're going to get it underway. Don't want to hold you too long, but thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Creative Perceptions. So last season, 12th place, the Phoenix Mercury. They had a lot going on. They finished 9-31. Thankfully, Brittany Griner was able to play. Definitely big ups to her because all the mental trauma that definitely happened, her traumatizing experience being detained in Russia prior to the season. So definitely it was great to see her on the court. Just her level of strength, that's just amazing that she was able to get herself there mentally and physically and holistically to play through the season. Especially, not gonna lie, Phoenix doesn't give her the love that she deserves all the time, but that's another segment or another pod for another day. That's a mini pod. But let's talk about it. They missed the playoffs, obviously. Last place. Um, Obviously, this was in 2022, but it leads to a bigger picture. Skylar Diggins Smith, she left in 2023, but she was not able to play with Phoenix due to maternity leave. She missed the 2022 season due to maternity leave, but the team, there were a lot of reports where the team didn't allow her to still use facilities and the benefits within the organization. That's pretty dirty if that is indeed, in fact, true, which I believe it is. Diana Taurasi and her didn't necessarily get along too well. However, she did during her 2022 campaign season. Skylar did lead the team in scoring with 19.7 points. In 2023, BG Brittany Griner, she led the team in 17.5 points. She led the team, especially after being detained in the offseason. They got Natasha Cloud. I'm a huge Mystics fan from the DMV, and then I actually got to cover them when I, started to really get further and further into the WNBA. Tasha's gonna do amazing in Phoenix, but it does sting a little bit, but I'm happy for her. And then they got Kalia Copper. Those are some key additions. Like when you think of significant additions within the offseason, obviously they added more, but those are the two that kind of stand out. I think that is going to be a tremendous roster. DT doesn't have to do too much. She doesn't have to stress herself. She'll definitely be able to sit on the bench longer. I mean, granted, she was still taking those progressions and sitting out due to injury. And then, obviously minutes. You don't want to give her too many minutes. And sometimes it kind of left them lopsided. And then they did face, injury, changing roster. It wasn't the most significant. So I definitely am looking forward to the Phoenix Mercury rebounding in 2024. I think they'll be competitive. I don't obviously you can consider that a super team. I don't know if I do per se. However, some people do. I still have to see a lot go into play. But if you're looking at paper, they are a super team, clearly. But how does that translate on paper, right? Because how many times in different sports, whether it's the W, whether it's NBA or other sports, how many times do we really how many times have we seen where a super team is created and it doesn't match up on paper? So head coach Nate Tibbetts, his first season after the Sun and Mercury were purchased. We're gonna see what he can do. There were a lot of other coaches that should have been in that slot, but we'll let that be what it is. But I definitely look forward to seeing that. So definitely, I will think Phoenix finishing in 12th last year. I think they will make the postseason. I look at that roster, assuming everybody's healthy. I don't think there's any way that they can go backwards if healthy. Now, if injuries happen, obviously that's a different story for any team. So definitely I'm going to push the stock up on the Phoenix Mercury, and I got them making the postseason. I think they're going to fall in that 6, 7, or 8 area. So we'll definitely see that, you know. All right. We're going to go to Seattle. We're going to go to the West Coast. Seattle finished 11-29, which was 11th place. They missed the playoffs, obviously. However, they had a big splash in the offseason. They signed Nneka Ogwumike, former MVP. They signed Skylar Diggins Smith. And then one particular, I do like Nika Mule, out of Connecticut. I think that's obviously it's too early. I'm not saying she's going to be Sue Bird, but that UConn connections, Oriema. One thing he's going to get he's going to get play and production out of his guards, and I think she leads her intensity. Her stock rose in the NCAA tournament. The way that she was defending Caitlin Clark, slipping over the screens instead of going under, the way she fought through those screens, the way that she kept her in front of her, picked her up half court, a few times full court. I think that that's going to make her special. As long as she's able to hit open shots. She already just has that pedigree. She's a gamer. She's gonna figure out what she needs to do to get to that, fill in that gap. Then you still have the Golden Mamba. You still have Jewel Lloyd. I think that they're going to be deeper than most expect. I think head coach Noelle Quinn, I think she's going to figure out rotations that work. Obviously, the big three are going to be on the court together. I think you'll have a lot of floor spacing. I would like to see them still implement. We don't know if Nika's going to start right away, but I would like them to. I don't. I don't have a problem with guards like Skylar handling the rock or Jewel Lloyd, but people don't understand when you're playing point guard, when that's not your when you're normally you play off ball. I mean, all of them have the potential to play on ball and off ball, but normally if you're a scorer, if you're a wing, it's taxing physically when you have to bring the ball up court, start the offense, start the motion all the time, and you have to get others involved first all the time as a point guard. So I think they need to figure out a way to have kind of insert another point guard if Nika doesn't start. But I think they're going to be in good shape. Am I selling their stock right off the top? I don't know. I don't have them going to the finals in the first year. Still think there's a few pieces they need to add, maybe on the bench, depth wise. Um, Obviously, NECA's gonna crush the glass, high motor, soft touch, great footwork, plays defense. Pick and roll is gonna be amazing. Now, are you gonna pick and pop, pick run to the rim? Like they have a lot of options. For them, what worries me is depth. However, solid, okay draft. They did what they needed to do, major offseason. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how they gel. I do have them making the postseason. I'm not going to say a range because they could fluctuate. I definitely don't see them finishing above fifth, but listen, you never know. You can lose any day. So I definitely look forward to seeing what the Seattle Storm is going to do. Then we're gonna go to the team that everybody's talking about. So obviously, Indiana Fever last season or off season they drafted Aaliyah Clark in 2023, or excuse me, Aaliyah Boston, not Aaliyah Clark, Aaliyah Boston. Excuse me. I'm already jumping topics. They drafted Aaliyah Boston in 2023, and then 2024. Obviously, we all knew Caitlin Clark was going to go first. Um, I love the fact that the way that she's elevated the game. Obviously she's going to bring more views. She's going to bring her views with her to the W. I think all of the draft classes, but obviously she elevated women's sports with her prolific scoring, her shooting, pulling up from the logo, her assist and her passing, which don't or assist that she really doesn't get a lot of credit for. She's a tremendous passer, outlet passes, baseline, half court, you name it, overhead baseball. Her vision doesn't really get the credit that it deserves, and her IQ, you can definitely always see when her eyes are moving. You can see she's calculating everything. I think Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are going to be phenomenal together. I think give it time before we say they're the greatest duo that ever lived. Let's give it time, but they definitely have the potential to make some noise. I think that Indiana, they have a lot to offer. You got Nalissa Smith, who's a dog and a bucket, instant bucket, can face you up, play a little bit back to the basket, get to the rim. Um, I think she's smooth, and I think her chemistry with Caitlin Clark, already got off to a great start. She stood up for her. The one thing that I will say that we're noticing in this WNBA transition, some people felt as though Clark was going to come in and dominate right off the rip. And I just don't think that that's the reality. I think she's going to be a phenomenal WNBA player, and I think she is going to get to that point where she dominates. However, it's a huge transition from college, no matter what sport you are, to the pros. The W is way more physical than women's college basketball. The refs are going to let them play, and I think a lot of people Caitlin Clark dropped 21 in one preseason game and 12 in the other. And then I didn't really care for, how people were, ostracizing her. Like, oh, is she really the real deal because she only dropped 12? First and foremost, people are planning for her already. Everybody was watching the NCAA tournament. Number two, like I said, the referees are going to let a lot go. There's going to be a lot of calls she's not going to get. You have to earn those. So I think that that's something to watch, but she's going to be phenomenal. And I think she's already building the ways and to affect the game in other areas in the W. Everything's already translating. I love how her teammates in Indiana, especially Erica Wheeler, I love how they all stick up for her. Smith does as well. They know that this is a tough thing. Aaliyah Boston does as well. They know it's a tough time for her. And Celeste Taylor, I do apologize if I mispronounced. She's gonna be phenomenal as well. Obviously, she's kind of in the back shadows, but I just love the intensity when we were watching some training camp, we were watching some of the practice footage. Their mentality is changing, and I think it's a good rookie veteran balance. I want to say Indiana's gonna make the playoffs, but I don't know. They will definitely hover around 7, 8, 9. It's not a lock for me that they will make the playoffs because I think they're gonna get off to a great start, but then the wear and tear of the season, injury possibly, God forbid, and then just it's the grind of the W. So we'll see. I love how Indiana's continuing to build around them. Like I said, the core is there. Clark, Smith, Boston, obviously. Uh, Erica Wheeler was a huge pickup in terms of veteran presence, still helping them elevate, keeping it like they're going to be competitive for sure. I think that was huge to have her. And you kind of get to see Caitlin Clark's humanity. Like, we see how much attention she's bringing, how much attention she's like garnering. That's a lot of pressure, and I just love like how she's just like, hey, I'm gonna get better every day. It's half glass full kind of thing, if I'm saying that right. And then her teammates have her back. So I'm definitely excited about Indiana, and we'll see. All right. We're gonna keep this train going along. Number 9, or excuse me, they finished in 9th place last year. 17-23. We have the Los Angeles Sparks. Head scratcher. They finished, like I said, 17-23. Kurt Miller, that was his first season. Now in 2024, he'll be entering his second season. We all know his teams. They like to get up and down the floor. They like to space the floor out, and they play defense. They play physical. I personally think he should have never left Connecticut, but I definitely understand wanting to chase something, especially in your, I believe it's his hometown. But when I'm looking at Los Angeles, clearly they drafted Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson. I love both of those picks from a futuristic standpoint. Cameron Brink rebound, she can rebound, she can shoot it. And I love her energy. I didn't really get to watch a lot of her in Stanford, obviously because of the Pacific time. It'd be kicking my butt 10 o'clock, and then a lot of their games aren't really on TV, or compared to others. And then Rakia Jackson, I think she again is one of those things where she kind of gets overshadowed by Brink. And then she kind of just it seems, I don't know, obviously I don't know them, but it kind of seems like she just stays to herself. But I think those are the way they're going to be able to gel. They're going to be able to learn. It's a rebuild process. I'm kind of interested to see how the team helps them develop, but Kurt Miller did bring over some great developmental coaches. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And then please have patience with both of them. Obviously NECA, unfortunately, Agumake, she left in free agency, which was, that was her, that was her first. She got her MVP and everything of that nature. That was the face of the franchise. Lexi Brown, I'm so excited for her. In 2023, she went through some illness, or she had an illness. She was sick. So it was good to see her in preseason, spacing the floor, playing defense. I think she's a 3-and-D player. I think she could do way more than that, but she plays defense. She can bring the ball up. She's very versatile, Army Swiss knife. I hate using those cliches, but that's what she is. And I think she really will she'll elevate the Sparks 3-point shooting. And then to be honest, she's an OG. She will definitely mentor the young players. Obviously, she has a lot of basketball to play. I believe she's 30, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good blend. And then Zaya Cook. Uh, bucket. Like that last season was it was up and down, obviously, learning, rookie, things of that nature. But this season, I don't know who she was working out with this summer, but obviously she was putting the work in. Obviously, it was already the skill set that she had, but she was just improving on her decisiveness. When you look at the preseason game, she was making quick decisions. She wasn't thinking about it. Last season, you kind of see sometimes she did think about it. But which is understandable because there were some times where she'd be on the bench, and then there were some times where she wasn't getting play or tick. But now she's just like, listen, I'm on the floor, I'm lighting it up. She can get to the brim, she can split defenders, she can shoot the three, she can lead, she can obviously run your offense. The one thing I would like to see is her assist numbers to go up, but she's a total offensive package. She has spurts where she plays lockdown defense. But I think, to be honest, if I'm Kurt Miller, she's starting this year. Um, it's a rebuild process. I mean, Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson, Zaya Cook, they're all gonna get playtime, so you might as well just let them go on now. And then you can kind of mix that in with De'Erica Hamby, who was ferocious in the preseason. Las Vegas should have never let her go, but we understand they won a championship, so I mean it worked out. But I don't know if you can convince me that they wouldn't have wanted, they would have kept her. But that's neither here nor there. De'Erica Hamby, I think this is her season. She can lead the charge. She's going to be able to score. She's going to be able to take any shot. I think she has the green light. She can crash the glass with the best of them, offensive and defensive board. She's always in the right space on the floor. She can play defense. I feel like she can guard 1 through 5, but maybe 2 through 5. But and then she can shoot it, and then she can score. Like she looks like she's playing with frustration, like Las Vegas. So like I'm gonna see when I see. Obviously, she's seen them last year, but she has a chip on her shoulder, and I think she is going to be looked at as one of the veterans to lead the team in scoring. You don't have NECA anymore, so De'Erica Hamby, that's the one you got to look out for. She averaged 19 points in the preseason, and she had averaged 8 boards. Obviously, it's preseason, but listen, that was a good sight. She already looks like she's in playoff form, so I'm excited to see what she does. I'm a big Hamby fan. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why the Sparks waived Mo Billings. I'm not sure, but she would definitely land on another team sometime soon. Um, and then we just got to keep the flow going with that. But somebody's definitely gonna pick up Mo Billings. I don't understand that wave. But hey, I guess we're trying to get a little bit younger. I don't know, but you need the veterans. But neither here nor there. Um, Eighth place, we're gonna go to the Windy City. So obviously, they made the postseason. They finished 18-22. They got swept to bring out the broom by the now defending champions. Which hey, like I think we all saw the writing on the wall. So I think that was a good, I think that was good to kind of get relevant. They were just hanging on to Kalia Copper. Um, she's no longer there. Obviously, she left and she is now in Phoenix, the desert. I think for Chicago, they had a phenomenal draft. Obviously, you draft Camila Cardoso, and then you also draft Angel Reese. Shout out to Baltimore. I think obviously some people may feel like, okay, they're both post players, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on Angel Reese. It was a lot of comments. Oh, a famous ESPN commenter or anchor, well, what is he? Talk show host. There we go. Said that he was concerned about her athletic spry and her, I forgot what it was, but that's not her problem. I mean, you could argue footwork maybe. Um, However, I think that Angel Reese, she's hungry. She's willing to put in the work. If you've never been to Baltimore, you would never understand the grind that the people in the city are in. They're always grinding. They don't take anything light or for granted, and she does not do that. Obviously, a lot of people are bothered with her sense of confidence and her trash talk. I love the trash talk. I love the confidence. That's definitely going to rub off on this young core, and she's definitely going to continue to elevate everybody else's play. And she's going to get a jumper. It's not like we're asking her to shoot the three next year or this year, but she's going to slowly build out her jumper. She's going to get a consistent jumper. It's only her rookie season, obviously, so she's going to get a jumper, and she's gonna put in the work that she needs to do. She's already making she's already making leeway with like her effort around the gym and things that are around the team and everything. She's not taking it for granted. And in one of the interviews that I like, she said that I don't know if I made this is before the rosters came out today, but she was like, I don't know if I made the team. And I think that was a good mindset. I mean, I felt like I knew she was gonna make the team. However, I like that mindset. But then also her being paired with head coach Teresa Weatherspoon, people are not giving her enough credit. You see how Zion snapped. Obviously, it's not an NBA podcast, but you see how Zion Williamson snapped this year. Oh, hey, that was his developmental coach. She's the reason why he started to lose weight. Her way to connect with players. She's done it at every level. She's gonna help mentor and mold that roster altogether. And then Carmela Cardosa, who we hope speeds up, has a speedy recovery. She hurt her shoulder and she's gonna be out for 4 to 6 weeks, but she's gonna definitely bring rebounding, size. She can run the floor, great hands, can catch in traffic. Love to see her build that jump shot or take some more, obviously mid range around the post. I don't see any 3-point magic happening right away, but you never know. Uh, some key departures obviously be Kalia Copper. She was traded. I think the Chicago Sky for this season, I think it's just growing the brand. It's just making everything better. You're gonna try some things. It may or may not work, but I think that they've already built those building blocks around that roster. And I don't have them making the playoffs. However, they will be competitive. And they will be dominating on the boards. That's for one thing. All right. We're gonna go to the DMV where the mumbo sauce is mumboing. Shout out to DC, the D and the DMV. My Washington Mystics finished in 7th place last season. They got swept by the New York Liberty. However, if you looked at that series, Natasha Cloud put on a show on defense. She proved that she's a shooter. I know a lot of people feel as though she's not. I feel as though she's a shooter. You can say she's streaky, you can say whatever, but the 3-point shot is there. The mid range was always there, and the footwork, whether it's the Euro, she has an innate ability to get to the rim and get others involved. Washington will be missing that. I'm sad to see her go, but people have to elevate. Washington, for me, I didn't really see any key additions. Like, I feel like they lost a lot, or we have to see where things lie. So right now, clearly, they Elena Deladon, she's sitting out. She, taking a year to herself, understandably. We hope she comes back healthy, and then everything is good. Because she's been having back problems over the last few years. Ariel Atkins, she's returning, obviously. She's going to be the number one or number two option. Um, Last season she averaged 11.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, and she shot around 33% from three, which is not the greatest. It can improve, but it's not the worst. She shot 41.4% from the field. Brittany Sykes, I'm excited about her. Definitely always been a hooper. She's never really been the first option anywhere she has been. She's always kind of been that role player, whether it's been a heightened level of role player or, I mean, at the end of the day, this season she's gonna have the green light. Um, and then we're gonna also we have to see where Shakira Austin's health is. Um, this team, I don't know if they're gonna be competitive clearly, but it's gonna be a lot that the coaching staff is gonna have to figure out. What is the lineup gonna look like, and then do you have a obviously they have a core, but people are gonna have to step up. We're gonna need more from Ariel Atkins. Brittany Sykes is gonna do her thing. Shakira Austin is gonna do her thing. And don't get me wrong, Ariel Atkins is a baller. But obviously, she wasn't the first option because over the years you've had Elena, you've had Chrissy Tolliver when healthy. You've had Natasha Cloud, obviously. So, in all fairness to Atkins, she's slowly been progressing to this where she's at now to be a first or second option. But I'm excited for them. I think they'll definitely be competitive. I definitely have them hovering anywhere from 8 to 5. I think they will make the postseason. However, if they do not, obviously ownership's gonna have to look at changing some things, coaching, but and management. But neither here nor there. All right, now we're going to number 6. We have the Minnesota Lynx. Um, Lost to the Sun in the playoffs, 2-1. Head coach Cheryl Reeve. Obviously, we know she's gonna hoop. She's gonna have her players hooping. The system is there. It's either you run the playbook or you out of there. Key additions, love the Courtney Williams. That's the pogo stick right there. Her ability to get to one point of the floor to the other floor is tremendous. She can score at the basket. She can hit that floater, whether it's in the lane, whether she is able to shoot. The threes needs to still improve, but her shooting, she's able to score. She's a bucket. She's an instant bucket. She averaged 10.4 points in the regular season. She averaged 6.3 assists, which I think is very pivotal. When any Cheryl Reeve coach team, the ball has to move. The ball cannot stick. Obviously, your core returns. Diamond Miller, is she going to take the next step? Physical defender, can slash, can get to the rim. Love to see her extend her range a little bit, or at least, volume. Nafisa Collier, Hooper. I mean, they're all Hoopers, obviously, but that's your star of the franchise. Recently gave birth. Ready and amped to go for the 2024 season. Her game is just, she's just super fundamental. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. I love her back to the basket game. I love how she doesn't rush her shot, and she's a pretty good passer that doesn't get a lot of credit. We want to see what Alana Smith does. Minnesota, they always find a way to win, so I'm not going to doubt them. I don't necessarily count Aerial Powers leaving as a huge loss, not because obviously Aerial Powers is very talented, WNBA champion with the Mystics a few years back. I just don't think she fit that system. And then obviously injury, and then you wanting to get back in there and then do your thing. But I think injury played a part, and I don't think she fit that system. And I think there was a lot of frustration trying to heal, and then get back in, but then not getting back in, and then seeing, ultimately how your season closed. So we're gonna keep this train going. We're gonna go to number 5, or who finished in 5th place would be the Atlanta Dream. They finished 19-21. They got that woman sweep by the Dallas Wings. Key additions: Tina Charles, Aerial Powers, Jordan Canada, head coach Tanisha Wright. The team, they're slowly building. They're slowly building, and it's exciting to watch. Ownership's been doing their thing. It's exciting to watch because they already have Alicia Gray. Shout out to the lefties, even though I'm right-handed. They have Ryan Howard, who is the face of the franchise. She's a star. She's a baller. And you have Cheyenne Parker. I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on Tanisha Wright. I don't think her job would be in jeopardy if they didn't, like, I don't want to say, I don't think there's I don't think there's a championship expectation right now, but you definitely want to be better. You want to finish with a winning record and get out the first round at least. But I think that this is an exciting core. Tina Charles, she's always she soft hands, physical around the bucket. She's gonna get her touches. She's gonna get in the post, quick, decisive moves, great footwork, rebounding monster. However, do you fit in Atlanta? Because the last few teams, whether it's been Phoenix or it's been Seattle, it didn't really look right. We'll just chalk that up and say maybe it wasn't a great roster fit. And then you're trying to get your wings back under you, and then also you're trying to find a home, so that sometimes you're trying to rush and get into your mode and dominate. Aerial Powers, I think this is the best place she could have landed. I don't know whether she'll come off the bench or she'll start. Probably you want to come off the bench because I think it's too top heavy if you do from the starters. And I think that Atlanta sometimes last season they needed a jolt off the bench. When Ryan Howard went to the bench, it was hard for them to generate points, and they started to try to do too much. And they needed a point guard, which Canada. I think the Jordan Canada pick was tremendous because she will run your offense. Her IQ level's on 100. She can set herself in a mentality to score if she wants, but she's always going to get her teammates involved, and she plays defense. I think one thing that a lot of people take for granted is post players being able to get the appropriate pass from their guards or whoever's feeding them the ball. She will do that. Tina Charles will definitely get her touches. Shooters will get the ball in their pockets. There won't be too many bad or sloppy passes. The pick and roll game with Howard, even Gray, if you want to do a high pick and roll or a flare. Charles definitely, like I said, I think Canada is going to be huge. Now, obviously, you need the team to stay healthy. And I think one thing that they needed to do they needed to get a backup guard because you can't overwhelm Canada or overuse her too early. You got to give her a reprieve. And I think this time where you have guards, like I said earlier when we were talking about Seattle, when you have guards that are two guards or small forwards that are ball handling because lack of point guard depth or point guards going on the bench, it's not impossible and people can do it, but it takes a lot of energy out of them. And then I think Ryan Howard's better off the ball, catch and shoot, catch, create her own offense, jab step, get to the rim, bump and one. Like I think she doesn't need to bring up the ball. Having Canada there will eliminate that, and I think it'll allow Tanisha Wright to play with her lineup a little bit more as well. I have Atlanta finishing in the top 4. I have them getting out the first round, and they're gonna make some noise, if healthy, obviously. So I'm excited for Atlanta. I've been raving about Atlanta. I wrote a piece on Fanside. You can check it out a while back. I think that Atlanta is going to make some noise. They're going to be dangerous. All right, we're going on to Dallas. Finished in 4th place, 22-18 record. They lost in the semifinals to Vegas, 3-0. Sweep. They drafted J.C. Sheldon out of Ohio State. Let me preference this by saying she was a bucket at Ohio State. I definitely know she will be okay in the WNBA. I do not like this situation for her though, because Arika, as amazing as Arika Agumbawale is, she is a combo guard, and I think she's better without the ball, and she has the ball in her hands a lot. She can score with or without the ball in her hand. She, as you can see in the preseason, she had a hezzy step back 3 toilet bowl to win the game. However, I think if you have a point guard that sets the points, I think it slows Dallas down when they need to, because there's times where Dallas has to get out and run, but when they run their half court sets, sometimes it's not as efficient. But my thing is, do you start JC Sheldon right off the rip? I mean, she's a rookie, she's going to learn. Obviously, you could throw her in there, but what does that do for confidence? So I still think they're missing a guard for right now. I mean, obviously, Sheldon will get tick. And then not to mention Satu Sabali. Satu Sabali will be out until around June-ish because of her injury from the shoulder from Olympics. So we don't know what that's going to look like. Dallas may not. I hate to say it, but I would be surprised if they made the postseason, or if they made they were a high seed, because missing her all the way until June 25th, that's criminal. Not saying they can't do it, but it'll be a huge push. Maddie Segrist, I think she's going to take a next step. She'll definitely have bigger responsibility, and I think she'll be up for the challenge. Lou Lopez Senchel, I do apologize if I mispronounced. What is her step going to look like? So Dallas, I'm going to push the down on stock. I'm not too sure, but I know that once Sabali comes back healthy, it's going to take some time for them to gel. But I think they'll figure something out. I don't know. I don't have them going past 7th seed if they do make the postseason, or landing the 7th seed. Then you have the Connecticut Sun. I just want to say I hope that this is their year. I don't know how foreseeable that is. Obviously, Las Vegas, they're still the team to beat. Connecticut didn't really do anything in the offseason. They kept their core, obviously. You kept Alyssa Thomas, obviously, DeWanna Bonder, you extended her or signed her back. Brianna Jones, that will be huge. She's coming back from an Achilles injury, and you could have argued their postseason would have looked different if she was there, because you have players were out of their normal positions because they had to scramble, and then they are just physical. They're going to play defense. They're going to get in your chest. They're going to run the ball. We just have to see, is this their year? Do they get the right matchup? I think New York was a tough matchup just because of how much offense and firepower they had, and I think they just kind of ran out of gas. But I think having a rim protector and a blocker, because Jonquel Jones was killing them in the paint, and like I said, you had Alyssa Thomas on her sometimes, and it was just a lot of mismatches. So I think being healthy will definitely give them a chance. I'm not going to count them out. I definitely have them finishing in the top 3 again. And then we're going to go to New York. Sorry. All right. So head coach Sandy Brondello, they lost to the Aces 3-1. There was a huge debate or comments made. Kelsey Plum was like, well, they were just built like this year. We've been together. And then there was an argument or debate amongst the basketball world. Obviously New York Liberty, we're in a super team era. I would like to hear people's definition of a super team. I don't think Las Vegas is a super team. obviously they are the best team. I don't think they're a super team. When I think of super team, I think it's something that's assembled together through trade. I mean, through trade and free agency altogether, or free agency at least, or trade. They drafted Asia Wilson, they drafted Kelsey Plum, they built everything. They signed Chelsea Gray. Like that team was put together surgically. I don't think it was like unfortunately, like no shade to New York. They didn't, sign Breonna Stewart. They didn't sign John Claude. Like the Aces were going at it for a long time, and they were building the parts. Obviously, they switched their coach, and now Becky Hammond won it after the coaching change was made, because people forget with Lambeer, they were getting to the they were getting to the finals, or and then they were coming up short, or the round before the finals and coming up semifinals and coming up short. Now they win it 2 years after. So I don't, obviously New York's the super team. I think bringing back John Cole Jones and Breonna Stewart, you had to. That was good that they were able to. I didn't foresee them leaving after one season. This is gonna be an unpopular opinion, and people are gonna come for me. I love her game. I love everything about her, but Sabrina Ionescu has to step up. Last postseason, she disappeared a little bit. She had her times where she was a little. She was on a no flight zone. No pun intended. That was terrible. Sorry, that was a bad one. But they had her time where she disappeared, and obviously she averaged 17 points in the regular season. She shot 44% from three, but in the postseason, she dropped to 13.7. Obviously, you can argue she's not the number one scoring option, but there were plenty of times where either she wasn't decisive, she passed the ball off, or she was trying to get people involved, which there's nothing wrong with that. But then there were times where she had shots or opportunities and she didn't take advantage. And her 3-point percentage is slightly decreased, but she just needs to be more efficient. And she was a liability on defense because they were switching, making sure that there was a switch on the pick and roll. So definitely got to work on the defense. But New York, they have a chance to get back to the finals again. I don't think so, because I believe in the championship hangover, whether it's the Super Bowl, NBA Finals, and World Series. I am a big WNBA Finals. I am a big believer that if you go to the finals and then you lose that's not true technically, because I feel like Washington won the year after they lost. Okay, never mind. I can stand corrected. Never mind for the championship hangover. We could possibly see a rematch of Las Vegas, New York, or one of them's going to get to the finals if healthy. And then we have the defending champions. Not really much to say. No, there is a lot to say. Finished 34-6, won their second back-to-back championship. They're going for their third. They're trying to catch up to the Houston Comets, who have 4 consecutively. Obviously Becky Hammond's the head coach. Chelsea Gray goes down in the WNBA finals along with Kia Stokes, and they still find a way to win. They had to dive deep into the bench. I think that speaks volumes to their coaching and their grit. And then obviously Asia Wilson, who has a signature shoe. Shout out to her. It's about time, because I was about to say, if she didn't get that signature shoe, Candace Parker, come on now, hook a sister up. But she got that signature shoe, so I'm super excited for Asia Wilson. It's going to be a tremendous year. I think that they're going to. I think they're going to repeat. It's just a matter of health. I believe, because you basically you won the finals. You won. I believe they won 3-1 in the finals, and you did it when two of your best players, when two of your important players went down. Arguably one of your technically, because you obviously Asia Wilson. I think she's the best player in the league, the most dominant. Obviously, you can make the argument Kelsey Plum obviously is the second best, but then Chelsea Gray is the engine that makes it go too as well. So to not have Chelsea Gray and then have Sydney Sydney Collison come in and contribute and play amazing defense. Y'all can say what you want, but she came in and she contributed, as well as other backups, as well as other players from the bench. So to have Kia Stokes back and Chelsea Gray back, I think that'll be cool. But the main thing that everybody's talking about, which I agree, the drafting of Deja Fair out of Syracuse, that was a steal. I was surprised she fell that far back. Obviously, people were worried about the marquee names. I think she's a marquee name, but that is a steal for Becky Hammond. And I know Becky Hammond was in management's ear, because that has her all written over it. To be able to draft her as your backup point guard, I don't really want to talk about her replacing Chelsea Gray, because I think Chelsea Gray has at least 5 to 7 more years left in her. But she's gonna be able to be a sponge. Deja Fair's gonna be able to learn from Hammond, Gray. She's just gonna be able to learn from a bunch of people, and I think Kate Martin was a strong pickup too. Um, she is somebody said it on the podcast. She's basically the perfect Robin. And I'm like, I do agree with that. She's gonna be. She will play defense. She will pick you up half court, full court if she needs to. She can shoot it. She knows where to be, and she doesn't worry about the offense. Not she doesn't. She knows the offense is not going to be called for her, but she's going to go out and do what she needs to do, or she's going to be in the right place at the right time. And her IQ is super. It's not talked about. She has a very high IQ. When you look at the preseason, the two rookies, they just obviously they're gonna go through growing pains and they're gonna learn, but they look like they've been there for a year or two already. And then you have Megan Gustafson, who just continues to make the roster. After being cut her rookie year, she just always finds a way to be on the team. I love how they brought her in. She definitely will. I feel like she'll get some burn throughout the regular season, but then that's definitely a good player to have that's always going to be ready. God forbid if injury happens and things of that nature. I think the Aces, I think they did everything they needed to do. That was probably the best reload that I've seen from a championship team in a long time, no matter what league it is. So shout out to the Aces. I hope they. I'm pretty sure they might three-peat. Before we let you go, obviously, if you didn't know, the WNBA now has charter flights. Unfortunately, they're not going to be available for some teams the first and second game. Which why would you announce it if it wasn't going to be ready? Neither here nor there. But it's about time. I'm glad they are because the players need they need their own charter flights. They need safety. They need space. They don't need to be rushing from running off of a terminal to get to a game when you're a whole professional player. So I'm glad the franchises and are finally taking accountability and doing what they need to do. And then also, if you didn't know, we got to go back. Because the Aces also got Elizabeth Kitley out of VTech, but I think she's gonna be an insurance contract because she's hurt, so they'll have the rights next year, if I'm not mistaken, and then they can see what she's gonna look like after that. So that's a good thing to have. And then before I let you go for the evening, keep in mind the W starts tomorrow. 4-game lineup. You have the Liberty and Mystics at 7 on ESPN 3. You have the Fever and Sun at 7:30 on ESPN 2/ESPN Plus. You have the Mercury and the Aces, which is going to be a really good. I mean, they're all going to be good. You have the Mercury and Aces at 10 p.m. on ESPN 2 or ESPN Plus. So if you have Hulu, you can access it if you got that package. Then you have the Lynx and the Storm. They will be playing at ESPN 3, and that'll be at 10 p.m. I'm excited for Rebecca Lobo, and I forgot the gentleman's name, Ryan Rucco. I'm excited for their commentating, and I'm excited for all the ESPN anchors. I'm hoping the this year is going to be big for the WNBA. Obviously, in addition, these things were already in play. The charter flights, the expansions, those were already in play before Caitlin Clark. But marketing is at the right time with her coming on and now to start actually pulling the trigger on all these. But again, those were already in the works before Caitlin Clark got here. But it's good that they're starting to pull the trigger on everything. And then also expansion. We will have a team next year in the Bay. We don't know what it's going to be called. We won't know until closer to the end of this season. And then Toronto got greenlit for the 2026 season. However, one thing I will say, I talked to one of my mentors, Professor Kent. Hope all is well. I appreciate you, good sir. We always talked about expansion in other leagues and what you need, whether it's capital. Obviously, you need government approval. You need the space. You need the investors. What does that look like? Is it a need? What are the parameters for other teams? So and then is there interest? I definitely think that I've been watching the WNBA since the inception in '97. My dad used to always be like, watch the fundamentals, watch the game, watch the talent, watch the skill. So I've always stuck with it. So unfortunately, I let my Detroit shot go, neither here nor there. But I think Houston should have another team. I don't know what the rights would look like. I think the owner would still technically have the rights, the last owner. You can check my last article on that. I think Houston should definitely have another team or bring the Comets back, depending on what the price is. I definitely think Detroit should have another team, even though they migrated to another team and then another team. But and then I think this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Philly deserves to have a team or should have a team. I mean, Sixers not doing nothing no time soon. No, I'm kidding. They need to get help around Joel Embiid or he need to leave. But I think Philadelphia should have another team. And then to be honest, you already have one team in the Bay. Why not with Sacramento, the Kings coming up? Why not consider another Sacramento team? But I mean, LA, it takes 2 hours to get to Oakland from Sacramento. So I mean, maybe you don't need that Sacramento connection actually. And we need to get another. You have the Dallas Wings that are moving to Dallas, which makes sense. I didn't understand why they were at where they were at, but yeah. So there's a lot of possibility in the league. I'm excited. I would love to see a Florida team, but Florida, they're not faithful. Yeah, it's more of a football team or football town. Obviously, you have the Miami Heat and other franchises, but I think the next, if we're looking at anything after Toronto, you want to give a. I think you want to give a look to. I think you want to give a look to Philadelphia, maybe Boston, but I don't know what that. I don't know the pull on that. Obviously, they have the capital and everything, and I believe the interest is there. But then you always have some people that just want to see the demise. But the WNBA season kicks off tomorrow. Please tune in. If I mispronounce any names or miss anything, definitely forgive me. I'm gonna be having on some amazing contributors, writers for these teams, and we're gonna chop it up throughout the season. Again, I'm gonna try to get to you once a week. Thank you for tuning in to Creative Perception, the WNBA edition. Signing out.